But even at that time, I put myself in these rooms. Like how I met my mentor who had the most enormous impact in my life, I had a business card. I met somebody at lunch at an event like this, and I gave it to that person, and he said, I'm going to introduce you to Bob. I didn't want him to give the business card because I basically stole Bob's tagline, you know? And I'm like, once he sees this, he's never going to talk to me. And I remember him looking at it, he goes, oh, that's interesting. But now I don't feel bad. The reason I don't feel bad, he stole it from Earl Nightingale. So I didn't know that at the time. But I remember, I'm like, oh, I don't want to give you this card. I did not want to give it to him.
What was the tagline?
It was, tell me what you want, I'll show you how to make it happen. You know? And I was like, oh shit, he's going to look at this. He's going to look at this. But that was how the introduction happened. That was how it happened. And then I met this gentleman maybe a month later, and I got in network marketing, and I didn't really like network marketing for me. You know, for me, it wasn't my purpose. But I got into it, and the person who took me in was one of their highest earners. And I was in it, and he said, he ended up being business partners with Bob. He was running a side business with Bob called 6 Minutes to Success at the time. And him and I got really close for a little bit. And then one day I called him, and I said, I think I can help you. I was driving, because at this time I'm taking every shot, every idea that came, I was like taking it. And he says, how can you help me? And I said, my two skills are coaching and selling. Those are my greatest skill sets. And he says, you're never going to believe this. I met with Bob Proctor in LA. We're looking for that exact person. I wanted to do it for free. I was not going there for any money. He gets Bob on a three-way with me. I remember this because I was buying my wife her birthday present, a massage, and I'm in the parking lot having this three-way. I'm like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? And he said, and Bob goes, I want to give you a shot. And that's where, since then, Bob and I became the closest of friends. You know, but that's how it came in. When I say put yourself in these rooms, think about all the things that connected that. You know, and so when you negotiate with yourself of not being in these rooms or not giving the card, even though when you don't want to give the card, just you never know. You never know what you're doing or what could happen. That's why I encourage you to stop letting your old identity make your decisions. That's a dangerous game. That is a very dangerous game because you're just going to keep playing it safe. You're going to keep playing it safe. Now, what changed for me is I lost 42 pounds that year. 42 pounds. Then I got rid of the $150K debt. Now, if you would have told me that decision, that I would have done that, I would have never believed you. I would have never believed you. And I earned a positive 282. I'd never earned 282,000 in a year in my life. I thought I was a millionaire. That's how it felt for me. And so everyone thinks like for me, the million was the big thing. It wasn't. It was not being paycheck to paycheck, doing something I love. Those were the big things for me. But you've got to understand there's only two identities operating in this room. One produces survival. So you guys have got to catch that survival when it comes. This is the most important pattern recognition that I can share with you. When that survival comes, don't get mad at it. Say, I got you. Because once you can expose it, you can change it. And the other produces a life of wealth. So here's a good question that I want to ask you. Have my decisions over the last 7 days been from survival or wealth? Survival or wealth? Are you the person who says, I have to go home before I make a decision? Or do you understand energy doesn't lie? So if it's wise for you, you say yes. If it's going to contract you, you say no. So if you're the person who's like, I've got to go home and sleep on it, I've got to go home and check things, that's survival. I'm just sharing it with you. I have a great client in New York. I do business coaching with their team. And the wife, I told her in the beginning of our coaching, I said, I don't like how you make decisions. And she's like, Arash, I've made decisions my whole life. I said, that's the point. If you keep making decisions the way you've made them your whole life, you're never going to get anything more. Well, her husband comes on the phone, and her daughter, and they went all in with me. They thought I was crazy. They were like, you're going to improve sales just with this conversation. They catapulted. I mean, when I say catapult, I mean 5x. This was in the summer. I talked to them in June, and by September, they 5x their sales. And I've been coaching them ever since, but they had to change the way they make decisions. So I had to change the way I made decisions. I used to be her, that's why I can see it. So I know why she's making decisions that way, it's out of fear. And I know why some of you are making decisions. So understand, if I don't make decisions from a wealth identity, I'm making them from a survival identity. Don't ever unhear what I just said. Now, it's your choice. You can make whatever decisions you want. But that's where it is. Now, the survival is what 97% of the population is living from. So it's going to be easy to make decisions from the survival because you're like, everyone who I've ever been around has made decisions like that. So they react to circumstances. They're constantly negotiating with their goal and setting lesser goals instead of transforming themselves. And then let's say, Cindy, let's say for you, okay, I'm making the story up, so I don't know this to be true. But let's say you're like, Arash, I'm all in creating my wealth identity, but my husband is coming from survival identity. What does Cindy do? What does she do? She doesn't give a shit. That's what she has to do. She's got to lead by example. She's got to lead by example. And as she leads by example and her husband sees her happy, he's going to support her. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So, because I will tell you, not all of you have your spouse in this room. I know that. So you're going to be dealing with this because they're not going to understand it. But you don't try to force them. You lead by example. That's the best advice I can give you. Yeah.
So we should see the wealth identity as our future self?
Yeah. That is the wealth identity. Your future self already knows how to do 10x what you're doing. So the decisions you and I are making, either our future self is going to love us or be like, man, you missed an opportunity. You missed an opportunity. That's why I'm telling you, it takes courage. And the only thing that defines courage is betting on ourselves, especially when we don't know if it's going to work. Especially when we don't know if it's going to work. So you have to do that every day. You have to do that every day. You have to decide before evidence. Now, Paula's really improved. I was talking to her this morning, and I could tell her she's in a quantum leap right now because her emotional state. I can also tell Cheryl's in a quantum leap. I just saw Cheryl in April, and she looks so different to me now. So I just need to look at people. I can tell you who's in and who's not, because energy doesn't lie. It never lies. Now, tell me if any of these sounds familiar. Your income has hovered in the same range for the last 2 years. Anyone? Okay? That's your thermostat. That's your survival identity you're still loyal to. Okay? You know what to do, but you don't do it. How many of you know what to do, but you don't do it? Yeah. Cindy, put your hand down. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true at all.
Some things I don't do that I should.
Okay, but you look at what you've created over the last 18 months. Put your hand down. Okay? You shrink when you say it's a big decision. It's not a big decision. It's not a little decision. It's just a decision. That's it. So let's not make it bigger than it needs to be. And then you wait until you feel like it. You're like, okay, now I'm in the mood to do X, whatever it is. You set goals. You say, this is going to be the best year of my life. Everybody wakes up January 1st. This is going to be the best year of my life, right? And then, I'm being kind on this slide. You say you forget about it by March. Most people forget it by January 15th. Okay? I'm telling you this. They forget about it by January 15th. And then you walk in a room and you feel like an imposter. I don't belong there. I don't belong there. I work with this with high achievers. They're doing so well, then they get in a bigger room and they feel like they don't belong there. Okay? We're all the same. I don't care what room you guys walk in, you own that room. You own it. We are all the same. I don't care if someone's more successful, that means they've either had more repetition, more mentorship than you have, and they've made different choices. That's it. They're not better than you. They're not better than you. And you're constantly negotiating, constant negotiation. Now, that is the survival identity, but look at the wealth identity. They act before conditions. That's why William James says, I don't let circumstances control me, I make circumstances. That's how you have to think. That's what Stephanie and I did together last week. Like, we made the circumstance. She didn't know where it was going to come from. Would you agree with that? Yeah. You had no idea. So, you walk into rooms owning your power. Owning your power. And you hold the line on standards, especially when your feelings disagree. Your feelings are going to say, what if this doesn't work? Be careful. You say, no, this is who I am. That's why I told you in the beginning, you've got to make up your mind. You've got to make up your mind, this is what I'm creating. This is who I'm going to be, and this is who I'm not going to be. And you see money as your servant, as your silent partner, not a problem. Not a problem. Go ahead.
Sometimes when I speak in the present tense about my future self, it makes me feel like an imposter.
Okay, so what's happening, you don't have the belief. So this is what I want you to do next time. Try it today. I want you, before you speak it, I want you to speak the things you already have in your life. Like, I have a wonderful family. It's real. So you believe it. I have my health. You know, think about it. Speak the things that are already true. And then speak it. You watch, there's going to be no resistance. You don't feel imposter, you feel resistance. Okay? So, but if you speak, I have, things that you already have, you're not going to have any resistance. I gave this to one of my clients, Jethro. He goes, I wish you told me this 6 months ago. I said, I don't know. I just telling you because you're telling me what it is. You know, like, I probably wish I did too, but do it and you'll watch the resistance will go away. Yeah.
I have an internal debate about going all in and being reckless. Because if I want to go all in, then...
Going all in is the most responsible thing you could do for yourself.
Yeah.
So going 90% in is reckless.
Yeah, it comes back to money all the time.
Yeah.
Spending all my savings. That is what it comes back
Okay, so you've got to change your relationship and understanding to money. So when you're thinking of money, whatever decision you make, is it going to grow it? Then I say yes. Is it going to contract it? Then I say no. Okay? So if you are coming from that state, it's going to be impossible to 10x. Yeah. So then you say, okay, I've got to do some internal work on changing my relationship to money. Okay, what's in your bank account is not freedom. It's not security. Security is an inside job. You know where money comes from. You know how to create it. We have proof of that. Okay? So you're never going to have a money problem. But it's your fear, what if I run out? What if I run out? That's the fear, yeah. Right? Napoleon Hill talked about it. You know, it's one of the top fears.
I have a certain amount.
Yeah, you're comfortable with a certain amount.
Yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that, and you never want to go under.
Yes.
Okay, but you're going to grow it. The more you make better choices, they're going to allow you to grow yourself. So think.
Do I have to risk losing it to grow it?
You have to risk every day. So I have to risk every day. So, but I don't risk losing money. Money is just happening. It's just service. So the more you've got to, here's what I would do if I were you. I'd be looking at, let's say you want to earn an extra $1 million this month. What I would be doing is say, because I know what you do, I'd say, how can I create something of great value that will bring my clients up, and I sell 50 at 20,000. And just play with that idea. Just play with that idea until the idea comes. Don't just force the idea. If you get an idea, it's going to come. So this is where we have to work backwards from the goal. See, most people are working to the goal, so they don't think like that. The idea is the currency. Our attention is the currency. So then now you're not putting your focus on money. Okay, you're not focused on losing it. You're focused on how can I give something of such great value that will increase my clients' lives. That's how you should start thinking about it. Okay? See, that's an old paradigm you inherited.
I know.
You inherited, but you can't hold on to it anymore. Because it's never going to allow you to do your best work. Okay? Money is not the game. It is not the game. It's fulfillment. Like, I want you to astound yourself. I want you to start, when you and Ellen are creating an idea, you guys got to start with the end in mind first. Start with the end in mind. And when you do that, it's going to change the game. It is going to change the game.
Explain what the end in mind is.
So just like this, let's say your goal, you can change the numbers, but let's say your goal was, I'm going to create an idea, and I'm going to think, how can I 10x the value that I give that's going to earn us an extra $1 million? Okay? Then I'm just using an example. Let's say you charge $20,000 for it. Then you're like, okay, how can I offer this to 50 of the people that this is wise for? Okay? So that's the end in mind. Okay? That's what you want to do. See, instead of looking at what you have, we want to grow what you have. Right now, the way you're doing it, you're not growing what you have. Okay? No matter what you earn, you're gonna spend it. Okay? Because you're tight. You're locked up with it. So that's what we want to change. So when we change that, but this is with every goal. Like, it doesn't matter. It could be a health goal. It could be like, you know what? I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. Start with the end. What do we have to do? So it's with any goal.